So, here's a question. How do you know if you're a spiritual baby or not? Well, Jesus tells us in the Great Commission, teach them to observe everything I've commanded you. He gives us some clues there. Now, one thing that's very clear, one thing that has nothing to do with your spiritual maturity is your age or how long you've been a Christian. Is a person who's been a Christian, who's gone to church 10 years, twice as mature as someone who's only been in the church for 5 years? Huh? No. Musicians love to ask each other, hey, how long have you been playing, dude? I could say in full honesty that I have played guitar for 40 years. Say, ooh, ah. Are you not impressed? But you know what? Oh, I even got a whistle. Wow, nice. I stopped taking lessons more than 30 years ago. And I can tell you the honest truth that the only times in these last 40 years where I have advanced my skill as a guitarist is when I have intentionally devoted myself to being taught, to learning, either by playing with a better musician than me. We had in our band in Connecticut, a blues player, a professional blues player, joined our worship team. And that took me up a notch as Barry Thompson taught me the blues. And Barry, I'm calling out to you right now. I bought a DVD set, How to Play the Blues, and I misplaced it. I just found it a couple weeks ago. So Barry Thompson, I am catching up with you, brother, and sometime this year, we're going to jam again. That's how you grow. Yes? So, how do you know if you're a spiritual baby or not? Well, here are two things you can take to the bank. First of all, a lack of biblical knowledge. If you have a lack of biblical knowledge, you're still a spiritual baby. Teach them to observe what I have commanded you, Jesus said. So that's the first thing. And the author of Hebrews said this to a group of Christians who had stopped growing. The words are on the screen. This is a sobering verse. Though by this time you ought to be teachers, you need someone to teach you again. You need milk, not solid food, for everyone who lives on milk is unskilled in the word of righteousness, since he is a child. So, my friends, if you don't know the Bible yet, or if you still have not mastered the art of the quiet time where you read the Bible every day and you spend some time in prayer, if you still aren't familiar with the core doctrines of the faith, you're still a spiritual infant. You need to grow up. But even here, let's say you do have that knowledge. You're filled up with it. You could get 100 on any theology exam that Barrett could cook up for you. You've memorized hundreds of Bible verses. You win every sword drill you've ever been asked. When I said 2 Timothy 3, you were there faster than people on their phones because you're that good. Does that mean you're mature? Not necessarily. Here's another thing that is a sign of spiritual infancy. It's shown also by a lack of biblical behavior. Paul said to the Corinthian church, if I have all knowledge and understand all mysteries but have not love, I'm nothing. Nothing. All that learning is just wasted. And we find out when we read this letter to the Corinthians that this church, for as gifted as it was, highly talented, filled with passion, but they were very immature. In chapter 3 of the first letter to the Corinthians, Paul calls them out because they're bickering amongst each other about who their favorite preacher is. Some of them like Paul, and some of them like this guy named Apollos, who was like, just a rock star. So imagine, you guys say, I like Paul. Come on. I like Paul. You guys like Apollos. And then he started throwing books at each other. Don't do that. No. This was going on in the church, and Paul calls them out for it. In 1 Corinthians 3, verse 1, he says, I can't address you as spiritual, but as infants in Christ. A lack of holiness, a lack of showing the love of Jesus with others is a sign that you're in spiritual infancy.